You're listening to G Woman Radio, the 24/7 radio for the gifted, genius, and game-changing woman.
Welcome to the G Spot, powered by G Woman Radio. The G Spot is a bold space for genius conversations with global game changers. Each episode of this live radio show brings together thought leaders, innovators, business owners, creators, and change makers for fearless conversations about leadership, legacy, innovation, and global impact. Now welcome your hosts, Alex Okoroji, Frankie Picasso, Swapna Abraham, Clara Rufai, and Mayuri Naidu.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the G Spot. You're listening to G Woman Radio. My name is Alex Okoroji, and I am your host. Yes, it's another Friday, and we're excited to be here once again. Of course, my co-hosts are here in the studio. So I'm just going to quickly check on everyone and see how everyone is doing. Frankie, how are you? Are you there? What's going on?
I'm doing great. I'm coming to you, ladies, from Toronto, Canada. Welcome.
Swapna, are you there?
Yes, Alex. Hi, everyone. Swapna here from Cochin, Kerala, India, where the monsoon's still in full swing.
But here, the weather's been up and down for a while. Clara, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Alex. Thanks for asking. I'm not even sure how to describe the weather today, but we're hanging in there. And hi, listeners. I'm coming to you straight from our G Woman Studios in London.
Okay. And Mayuri?
Hi, everyone. I am broadcasting from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Well, I'm always looking forward to Fridays because this is when we get a chance to, connect and, of course, talk to our genius game changers. So, listeners, welcome to the G Spot. This is where genius meets the global game changer. I'm Alex Okoroji, like I mentioned. And, of course, I'm joined by my powerhouse co-hosts who are the co-founders of G Woman Media.
Thank you, Alex. Well, Triple G Women are coming to you. We bring you bold conversations with women shifting culture, challenging systems, and creating new legacies every week.
Thank you, Frankie. Ladies, today we are thrilled to welcome a game changer who is blazing trails in her field. Over to you, Clara.
And as always, before we dive into today's conversation, I want to take a moment just to shine a light on two amazing women who were recently named in the G Woman magazine Global Edition's G Woman Power List. Now, these are top 50 women that we want you to watch in 2025. These are women whose work doesn't just break barriers, it redefines what's possible. First up, we have Chloe Zhao. She is a visionary filmmaker. She is an Academy Award-winning director. Chloe made history as the first woman of color to win the Best Director Oscar for Nomadland. And she continues to open doors in Hollywood with her deeply human storytelling. So, what makes her a G woman? Well, we think it's her cinematic brilliance and her fearless commitment to telling stories that matter. And as she says, find the stories that need to be told and tell them with all your heart. She's certainly doing that. So hats off to her. And next, I'd love to give a shout out also to Niloufer Hamedi. She is the investigative journalism fighting for women's rights in Iran. Through her investigative reporting, Niloufer exposed the tragic case of Mahsa Amini. She sparked the women life freedom movement in Iran, and her courage has come at a great personal cost. Yet, her dedication to truth remains unshaken. So, what makes her a G woman? We think it's her bravery, the bravery to challenge oppression and give voice to the voiceless. As she powerfully reminds us, telling the truth is not a crime. Now, the G Woman Power List is more than just recognition, right? It's a statement of true feminine power because the 50 women named on that list are not waiting for permission to lead, innovate, or create change. They are taking charge and they are making things happen. Over to you, Mayuri.
Thank you. Thank you, Clara. Incredible woman, as always. You pick all the right ones every week. If you haven't read our latest Top 50 G Woman Power List in the Global Issue 2025 edition of G Woman magazine, after the show, why don't you head on to www.gwomanmag.com to read about all the amazing gifted, genius, and game-changing women featured. Over to you, Alex.
Well, thank you, Mayuri and Clara. As usual, every week you have amazing women on your list. Well, just before we bring on our Genius Game Changer, who's right here in the studio with us, we'll take a quick commercial break and we'll come back. Don't go anywhere.
Ladies, listen up. There's a brand new power-packed issue shaking up the media world, and it's coming straight from G Woman magazine. It's the Global Issue 2025 edition, and it's not just pages, it's purpose. We're talking game changers from the top 50 gifted, genius, and game-changing women to watch, to rising voices, deep conversations, and powerhouse features like our cover story, Dr. Harbeen Arora Rai, founder of the G100, Women Economic Forum, and All Ladies League. You'll find bold interviews, visionary features, and stories that prove one thing. When women lead, the world changes. So, whether you're a leader, a creator, a founder, or just getting started, this issue is for you. Tap in now at gwomanmag.com. That's gwomanmag.com, G Woman Magazine, where visibility meets power and every voice matters. You're tuned into G Woman Radio for the global woman, gifted, genius, game changer.
Well, if you're just tuning in or joining us, this is still the G Spot. And yes, we're broadcasting live on G Woman Radio. And we're so excited, to our special Genius Game Changer is here in the studio. So it's time to meet the game changer. Let's get into it. Our guest today is Dr. Anyiam-Osigwe. Now, Dr. Anyiam-Osigwe is a multi-award winning wellness expert, allergy specialist and master educator whose pioneering work spans over 2 decades of transformative care, clinical research, and curriculum development. But our expertise goes far beyond medicine. Now, she is an award-winning film director and screenwriter, and the former lead script juror and co-chair of BAFTA, BIFR, AMA, accredited British Urban Film Festival, also known as BUF, which streams on Apple TV, and Bohemia Euphoria. Now, in 2018, her directorial debut feature, No Shade, secured international theatrical release, making Claire just the 6th Black British woman to secure cinematic distribution in 123 years of British cinema. Now, it has been streamed, this romantic drama, obviously, over 60 million times on Amazon Prime before picking up on distribution on Tubi, and it is now available on Apple TV. Now, The Voice newspaper commissioned Dr. Clare to produce and direct a short documentary, Windrush Stories, celebrating 7 years of the first Caribbean settlers in the UK in 2018. Now, Claire is developing dramedy series while preparing for her sophomore film, Finding Forever. Meanwhile, in summer of 2022, Claire was signed by Revolution Talent Agency and directed 12 episodes of national broadcast television dramas for the 3 biggest studios in the UK, including, of course, BBC Studios for The Break, ITV Studios for Coronation Street, and Line Pictures for Channel 4, Hollyoaks. That's right. Now, in April 2025, Dr. Clare became an author and released her debut book, Clarity, which became a top 20 best-selling autobiography stocked globally and published by the new literary arm, Buff Books. In July 2025, alongside her husband, Emmanuel, they executively produced and released Eureka, an epic action thriller directed by Emmy-nominated journalist Peter McJob under Buff Studios. Now, Claire is developing other original film and TV projects as both a director, writer, and executive producer. Now, we're so excited to have Dr. Clare Anyiam-Osigwe here with us on the show. Welcome, Dr. Clare.
Hi, G Women Radio, and thank you all so much for welcoming me to this wonderful show, this amazing platform. It's an honor to be here.
Yes, we are so happy to have you here, Dr. Clare. Thank you for being with us and agreeing to be with us today. Every story starts somewhere, as you know, you're a writer, and yours is extraordinary. What was the spark that started your journey?
Wow. So I covered this in clarity, but I started my journey. I'm first generation Nigerian British. So I was born and raised in Islington. I'm one of 5 children. I'm the oldest girl. And I guess my story really started when my mum started presenting with schizophrenia when I was 5 years old. And so I grew up quite quickly,
Yes.
but I realized from a young age that I was gifted and talented. I loved to make up plays. I used to wear my mom's wigs and her makeup and create different characters and write stories. I used to be removed from my class because I'd always finish my work first. So they put me into the library and let me read adult stories and books that were for like children of double my age.
Wow.
So I knew literature was something that really came naturally to me, and the arts was something that allowed me to escape from the troubles at home. My mom and dad's marriage ended. My dad died when I was 9. And so me and my 2 younger sisters were placed into the care system. And
Wow.
actually, even though it was obviously very sad and actually quite taboo as a Nigerian to be experiencing these things, it was something that I feel like it was really an amazing opportunity, because when I was in care, I was actually afforded to go to drama school. So I had drama lessons that were extracurriculum, and I really flourished and excelled there. And that journey really sparked that I should do this at university. So my first degree is drama, and so acting and directing. And then my master's was in theatre studies as a teacher. So I knew when I came out of the care system that I wouldn't have mum and dad to fall back on
Right.
whilst building my CV. So I decided that if I was teaching, I would always be able to earn whilst going for auditions. I also had a love for makeup, hair and beauty. So I would always work the beauty counters of all the big stores, John Lewis,
Sure.
Harvey Nichols. Yeah. And so I was a manager at the Body Shop
I'm
for
just
a
going to
couple
stop
of
you there
years.
because we have some more. We have some of the other sisters are going to ask you some questions, but we're
Oh,
going to get to
okay.
all of you. We're going to get to all of you and everything about you. Don't worry. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, that's a good
Thank
place to start.
Yeah. Okay. Over to Swapna. Thank you.
Thank you, Frankie. Dr. Clare, gosh, when one hears something of that sort, I don't know what to call it, just amazing. My question was actually, how did you overcome a personalized barrier? But I don't know. What should I be asking you, Dr. Clare? Personalized barrier? Was it a barrier? You're just saying that so much good came out of the system, going to drama school and so on and so forth. But sincerely,
Mm,
what
mm,
was, if you could take one of the many for sure barriers you've had
mhm,
to overcome your life
mhm.
in your whole life, what would you talk about, please?
Sure. So the truth is, I was young, black, you know,
Mhm.
Nigerian. We were kind of the first generation to come here in the 70s and 80s,
Mm.
in this last century. And so, and I'm female. So, there's all these negatives, right? And I think, you either, the phrase that comes to mind is you're either going to fight or you're going to, it's fight or flight mode. You're either going to go down, nothing's going to work out for you, or you can
Right.
you can fight. And I have that chip on my shoulder that I'm going to fight because the calling is bigger than me. I've always
Wow.
had a deep, profound relationship with God. And I've fallen out with God, over the
Of
years.
course.
We thought, in the spirit world of like, why do I have to always go through like the deepest trials and tribulations, different relationships and different jobs that I've had, and coming from a tumultuous childhood of dysfunction. And then the answer that I always get in the still moments is because you really have some big things to do for me. I'm like, okay, sure, okay, I get it. What's next? you know? So I think that underbelly of resilience is a trait that has carried me through. And I've known that I had that strength from a young age. But
Right.
we'll talk about it. Obviously, I'm sure it's coming up about at some point it got too much for me and I burnt out. Um, but that's what I would say to that question.
Thank you. Folks, listen, it's the underbelly of resilience. Gosh, I think I need to hear this, Dr. Clare. Over to you, Clara.
You picked on the right word, Swapna. I'm just listening to Dr. Clare and I'm thinking to myself now, resilience. She's speaking my language. Dr. Clare, let me tell you now, you are speaking my language. Talk about resilience, especially the underbelly of it, right? I'm sure that we are in for a lot of excitement tonight as we speak to you. But I have a question, right? I have a question for you. You
Sure.
have broken so many barriers as a human being, as
Mm,
a director, a writer, producer, and now author, oftentimes I'm sure you'll agree you found yourself working at that intersection of art, maybe identity, representation, the works. So I'd like to ask you, what is one myth or misconception that people may have about you or about what you do, or it could be about being a Black British woman in film and television? What's one myth that you'd love to set straight or set the record straight on it today or bust it up wide open?
wow, that's an amazing question that I've never been asked before.
Mm,
I think a myth, the truth is, Clara, we are still kind of like black unicorns. The black
mm,
British experience is still less than 100 years old in terms of documentation. And so I
mm,
think the myth is that we are almost nomadic, that we don't exist. Like if you look at us in America, um, we look to Americans for the standard, the gold standard on Hollywood, right? And Black Hollywood and what that
mm,
means. But in terms of Black British talent, and even our brothers and sisters back home in Nollywood, they've got such a grounded history of their works over the last 30 to 50 to 70 years, actually. But in Britain, me and my husband are at the forefront of that vision, that movement, that visibility. And Bath has only been going for 20 years. And then when you think of some other talented people that have been going for 20 to 30 to 40 years, but they don't have their own studio. So in many ways, they are employees. And so actually, the myth is that we still don't exist and that
mm,
we have a long way to go. And this is why, as I turned 40 this Monday, and some people are really gracious, oh, it's so sweet. And they were like, Claire, you haven't aged. You look like you're still 18. And I was like, that's so sweet. And I said, I talk to God often, daily, throughout the day. And it was God just saying, yes, because you've got to be here for another 80 years, obviously. You've got a lot of stuff to do. And I was like, I know. It's like that trajectory and those myth bustings will come
mm,
probably when my daughters are like 40 and 50, and then I've got a catalogue of 20 to 100 movies for them to say, ah, you thought Black Brits were like this, but actually this is who we are. We are Nigerian or Ghanaian or Eritrean, but we're also very quintessentially English as well. And we are European, and we're almost like a hybrid, and a melting pot of cultures. And I think we do it with a certain level of je ne sais quoi, a bit of
mm,
elegance. But
mm.
at the same time, we are constantly in no man's land. We're not Nigerian enough and we're not British enough. So
Wow.
we kind of become this marriage of two whole cultures, being very
Mm,
British and being
mm.
very Nigerian.
Wow. Wow. I hear you, Dr. Claire. I hear you on that one. The myth is that we still don't exist. But thank God
Wow,
it's
that's
only
true.
just a myth. right? Thank God it's only just a
Right.
myth. And thank God that someone like you are shattering ceilings. You've built your own lanes in an industry that hasn't always made space for voices like yours. I mean, keep doing what you're doing, keep shining. And we're very, very proud of you.
Thank you. That's so kind.
And I will hand you over to Mayuri, who I know has questions.
I do have questions, but before I ask my question, I just have to say, Dr. Clare, everything you're saying resonates so deeply with me. As an Indian in South Africa who's an actress, I also kind of
Wow.
fell in this weird place in between where I'm Indian, but not Indian enough, and
Mm.
born in Africa, but not African enough. And so it's been such a
Mm.
fight to like get roles and representation and things that matter to see someone like me on television. And it's only just starting now. It started in Hollywood with Mindy Kaling and all of the Asians there kind of representing themselves and creating stories. And it still hasn't quite trickled down to South Africa. So I think what you're doing resonates so deeply with me. And I always say, because I often also talk to God and I'm like, why? Why is it so hard? Can it
Mhm.
just be easy? And I
Mm.
also get this, like, you've got a lot to do. So you got to just suck it up, man. So
Right.
I really admire the steps that you've taken and that you haven't fallen into this victim of why me, but rather like,
Yeah.
I'm going to overcome this and create pathways and break barriers for the future, which
Mhm.
leads to my question, what kind of advice would you give to the next generation of women leaders?
Wow. Thank you so much. I would say to the next generation of sisters that are coming up, and this is absolutely because I've become a mother in the last 6 years, and I look at my daughters and, what is the evidence? As my 6-year-old says, yeah, mom, I want to be an author now. And I'm like, yeah, go for it. Like, let's write that first book. Because she's also reading at a very high level and is gifted and talented in reading
Wow.
and literature. So, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but I think,
Mhm.
greatness can be nurtured. Obviously, some of us are naturally born with that in our DNA, but I think if you work at anything, like Malcolm Gladwell says, those 10,000 hours, I think it's actually never been easier to win. The win in today's society is going to be for those who can maintain focus. I think now that we've got these devices, we're so much more interconnected with each other, but the focus, therefore, and the level of distraction and discipline is being challenged at light speed. And I think if you can become somebody that can become extremely focused, which sounds like, oh, yeah, cliche, whatever. No, that's not a given. Common sense is not common. And
Hmm.
actually, it's really
Absolutely.
about you taking the time out daily to do the 2 to 3 things that matter. I cover this in my Clarity book, which comes with a journal. And me and my Clarity Collective, we meet every day and we talk about the top 3 things that we need to do today that will move the needle forward. And I'm sure all gurus have that sort of top level mindset, but you'd be surprised at the 99% of people that just don't do that. They wake up, they react to what's going on in the world. Trump said this, she did that. I don't like her. I feel this way. And it's just literally noise. It's not going to take, it's not that you don't care, because that's the thing about me. I'm a very empathetic person and I do care deeply about all of the world's issues, but I owe it to myself to gain a certain level of clarity on a daily basis so that I can answer the call. And I have to say it as a Christian, the call from God. I know I keep going back to
Mhm.
God, but really and truly, He is the CEO of my life. And so I have to be available for those downloads, those calls. And I can only do that if I map out focused, concentrated moments where the phone is off, as busy as I am, as many brands as I have, with 2 children, a husband, and a home to run, and then massive amounts of family globally who want a piece of my time, customers, clients, right? I still have to have, an hour or two a day where I'm doing nothing but what matters. And I think that is the advice that I would hand down to the next generation. Please carve out time in that 8 to 10 hours of work a day where it's completely focused and you will succeed.
Such great advice. You're absolutely right. In this age of instant gratification and, constantly on our phones, it's so easy to lose focus. It's so easy to get distracted by the outside stuff. You really have to focus to listen to the inner voice. I think that's incredible advice. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Claire. Over to you,
Thank
Alex.
you.
Thank you, Mayuri, and thank you, Dr. Claire. And of course, everyone who's listening needs to take that advice seriously because she's a wellness expert, and you all should know that. So that's coming from a doctor of science. She knows what she's talking about, right? First of all, I just really proud of just your journey and all of the things that you've accomplished and will continue to accomplish, right? Because women are really doing some, and we all have these very different experiences, whether even in the industry. Even before I moved, there are all kinds of little barriers, like situations where like Mayuri talked about, she being Asian, African born, but Asian, our heritage, and still feeling out of place in an industry that, she's not able to find a fit. And you being British born, but obviously of African heritage, right? And still having to figure that out. And even where we come from, we still have to deal with other things about, like colorism, even when the people look like you. Right. So there's always, even when the people look like you, there are things that I've personally experienced as an actor back home. And people still, even here, they still experience even in Black Hollywood. Right. So to see the work that you're doing, to continue to tell these African stories and find not just the African stories, but, to merge the world between create a space to include more people. And I think that the world needs more inclusion. Whether in whichever space, in any space that we're all creating, we're just including more people, right? As opposed to excluding people, because what we see is a lot of exclusion as opposed to inclusion. So I think the work that you and your husband do with BOF, with the British Urban Film Festival is great work, and all the stuff that you're doing. My thought and my question now is really, on the show, we like to know what your G-spot moment was or is, right? And for us, the G-spot moment is that game-changing moment when you realize that you were built for this journey. And I know in your lifetime, you've done so much, right? With creating your beauty brand, wellness, and now you have this wellness film festival that you're working on and all of that. So.
Yes.
And you've written this book. So what was your G-spot moment? When did it click for you? Right? What was that game-changing moment when you decided, man, this is the pathway. This is how I want to do this. And this is why I believe I can do what I'm doing.
Wow, thanks, Alex. I've had so many moments, as you say, because I've achieved a lot, and I've climbed a few mountains now. Still many more to go, but I've climbed a few. The one that stands out the most to me, because it was such a radical moment in my life, is when I decided to close Premay, my skincare business, and I always say quite fondly, put my doctor's coat down, my white doctor jacket, and picked up my blue puffer jacket to go on set, right? And to direct this movie. And I didn't do a short film. Like a lot of directors, they direct short films to get their feet wet, to try out their ideas. I went straight from nothing, from leaving the industry for 12 years to coming straight in at the top with a feature film. And I vividly remember coming on set the first day. It was on location at a mansion in northwest London. So me, the art director, the whole squad, we were at the front door. It was a very cold January, and Clara will appreciate this as somebody who's based in London, but it was freezing, and we stood outside, in Harlesden with all of this equipment. And let's face it, sorry, Harlesden, I love you, but it's notoriously known for crime and danger. So we were quite frightened, really, like, people could come and rob us, right? We've got thousands of pounds worth of equipment on us. But anyway, the lock on the door was frozen, so we couldn't actually put the key in the door. And I think that again is very God, very metaphorical, like the key would not fit. So we call the landlord, and he comes with a spare key, and that key would not fit. And everyone's looking at me and Emmanuel like, what are you gonna do? First day on set, look, you're finished. You're gonna laughed out of town. And I just said, you know what? And we called this, like several things like this happened on set, and we called him this energy. You know, I'm Igbo, so we were calling him a Quensu, as in like a devil or something. But we called this energy Satan Trump Murphy. I know it's very controversial, but we're like, oh, here he goes, Satan Trump Murphy. What is he up to now? And so we moved everyone to a Portuguese restaurant, and the owner allowed us to sit there for 8 hours and just film the next set of scenes that we already had in the schedule and stay on until we could find another house. So I'm directing these scenes whilst on the phone to several other agents. I say all this to say what I do best, G Woman Radio, is I solve problems. When you think about what I do at Bath, when you think about me as a doctor solving allergies, the worst skin types in the world, that's my joy. How can I solve problems? I'm a solutions oriented individual. If I see an issue, I'm like, how do I make that better? How do I enhance that person's life, journey, health, my own, right? So I think if you give me something to solve, I'm going to crack the code. And for me, that was my kind of G spot moment. Is that I either again flight or fight, or I either sink or swim, or we keep rolling with the punches. It actually worked out that the new house was better than the old one that we had already booked and paid for. We was able to sleep on set, feed everyone. We had it was a lovely time. And I think sometimes, for a lot of people, they would have packed up for the day and lost their whole cast and crew's confidence. But for me, I was like, I cannot give up. I know I'm being severely tested right now, but we've got to see this schedule through. And we were literally behind by the end of the day by like 2 hours, which was absolutely fine, instead of like closing down for a whole 12 hours, right? So yeah, that's just one of those moments.
Well, thank you for sharing that story with us. If there's anything that I picked up from that is, you being a solution oriented person. And I think that's really a gift to have in today's world, right? Because we're constantly tested, right? And even when we find our passion, or we find what we're made for and what that our sweet spot or G spot is, right? We get tested and we have to step up, right? Step up and, meet the challenge head on, and you've done that. And by doing so, you've proven to yourself that, you're called for the role, that you're able to do it, and I think that's truly amazing. So here's what we're going to do. If you're listening to G Women Radio right now, wherever you're listening from around the world, don't forget that you can join us in the chat room. Again, click the chat button. If you've got a question, a comment, anything, you can leave it in the chat. And of course, we'll really hear if you've got a question for our guest, Dr. Clare. Please don't forget to share it. We'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be back.
Are you a
Listen
gifted,
up.
genius,
There's a brand
and
new
game-changing
Power
woman looking for your tribe? This is your moment. Introducing the G Woman Collective, a powerful new global hub where women who lead, build, create, and innovate come together to rise. Founded on the premise that women's collective voices hold boundless power. At the heart of our mission lies a powerful purpose: to ignite global visibility and momentum for women everywhere. Whether in boardrooms or broadcasting, the mission is simple: make women seen, heard, and unstoppable. Join thousands of women across continents in a vibrant digital epicenter that's redefining community, collaboration, and visibility. From private forums and global networking to live sessions, masterminds, mentorships, and exclusive media features, including access to our sub-collectives. This is not your average membership. This is your seat at the table. Become a G-Woman ally, G-Woman champion, or G-Woman vanguard, and step into a space designed to amplify your voice, fuel your mission, and elevate your legacy. Sign up now at gwomancollective.com and let's rise together. G-Woman Collective, where gifted, genius, and game-changing women belong.
Okay, we're back. If you're just tuning in, this is the G Spot. And yes, you're listening to us live on G Women Radio, and we've been talking to our very special game changer, Dr. Clare Anyiam-Osigwe, and we've been having a really wonderful conversation with her just before we went on that commercial break. And yes, G Women Media, we're so excited. We get to launch our G Women Collective. We get to have our G Women Collective lunch party very soon in about 2 weeks. And so yes, if you want to be part of the collective, of course you're invited to join us as an ally. It's free to be part, and we will welcome gifted genius and game-changing women from around the world to hang out, with like-minded women, and connect with other sisters who are just doing amazing, powerful things. So yes, it's time for us. It's time for the G Talk Roundtable, and over to you, Frankie.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much. I've had so many things I wanted to say, and I kept changing my mind about it. But I did want to just touch on the last conversation where Dr. Clare, the door was locked, you couldn't get in, and it seems every show, Alex, this show, even this show, every show, radio show I've ever done, or podcast, or live show, there's always been the very first show where I'm tested by the universe. Something's not working. Things aren't going right. And I just think it's like, okay, show us, prove to us that you can do this, and we'll let you carry on. And I think that's kind of what happened with you as well. The creatives have to get solution oriented, as they say. Our theme is voice, visibility, and victory. And you have certainly had so much success as a woman, a Black woman, a multi-hyphenate. Within 3 years of just starting your skincare company, Prime, you single-handedly formulated, 10 ranges of skincare, 80 SKUs, winning 14 awards in 2 years. That's crazy, all before like 30. So, and then in the entertainment side of your life, you won 4 awards as a filmmaker. They invited you to be a voting member in BAFTA. We already went over this, 6, Black British female director to secure a theatrical lease in 123 years. And you were recognized by Queen Elizabeth. All of that. Now, you closed down Prime, as you said. You've just relaunched Prime 5 years,
Yes.
for 5 years. You said in the beginning that Prime was for women like you, or for people like you. It was a hypoallergenic company. And today, though, you're saying the focus is now on the restoration for women balancing high performance lifestyles with sensitive skin, sustainable soul deep skincare, not just a fix or a quick fix. So what did you mean by that? Has your customer base changed as you've aged? Your views on skincare changed?
Great question, Frankie. So, yes, yes, and yes. So, I closed pre-May 2017. So, it's actually been away for just over 7 years now, coming into eighth year. And I brought it back this summer. And yes, the focus now, as I've aged, I started pre-May when my earliest formulations, I was 24. I launched formally and registered the company at 26. So I was really a baby age-wise, but I think, because of my background, I obviously had lived a lot and had seen a lot, and was an allergy sufferer, genuinely, wheat, dairy, gluten, and yeast. And I saw how it made its way into skincare. So obviously, the work that myself and quite a lot of food entrepreneurs in the UK have done to push the narrative forward in the supermarket and on the shelves of our stores globally, with allergen friendly or vegan symbols and the cruelty symbol of PETA and all of those things. I was part of that cohort of the 2010, 2011, 2013, where we really drove that narrative. What I've come to realize now as I'm into my 40s is that health is integrative and it's a 360 deal. And if you I liken it to an eagle where you look down and you're sort of analyzing what are the predators of my life, what are the prey, who is doing what. And what I've realized is that how you feel is how you will digest what's put onto the skin and what's put into the mouth. Two people can have the same diet, but because one
Right.
has trauma in the body or stress, or their home, their lifestyle, their environment is not conducive to harmony, or where they work, or they're eating, trans fats, That's going
Right.
to present itself as eczema. That's going to present itself as psoriasis and acne. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really want to do the work that I felt almost like an imposter as a 20-year-old doing now as a 40-year-old wife and mother. You know, a lot of my clients when I was in my late 20s to 30s with pre-May, they were like 20 years older than me. So they were women in their 50s. And it
Right.
wasn't for African women, it was white women of all, you know, it was all Asian, everybody shopped at pre-May, right?
Yep.
So going back to some of those women who have been begging me for the last 7 years to come back because I, you know, told them with blessings, please go and use other brands. But what my top 30 have said to me is, Claire, there's no one has replaced you. We're still not, my skin has never been the same since I've stopped using Preme. Please come back. And I think a big part of that, Frankie, is the love that I personally poured into every handmade product. To be honest with you, I'm not going to hand make this time. It will be factory produced. That
Mm-hmm.
won't take away the quality and it will make it more sort of mastige. But then the science and the lifestyle and the interconnectivity of being with my clients on WhatsApp, going food shopping with them, doing their quarterly allergy tests with them, being a part of their lives as a sister, right? As a
So now it's
friend.
holistic. Now it's really
It's
holistic.
so holistic. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is exactly, you totally get it. So
Yeah.
I'm going more that route. And that's where it feeds into the Wellness Film Festival, where I'm teaming
Mm-hmm.
up with, you know, practitioners all around the world. My book, Clarity, talks about the life quadrant. So the 4 areas of your life that you need to have intact to experience joy, peace, and clarity. So I feel like what I had planned 20 years ago, I can
Right.
actually, this is the time. This is really the time to bring that philosophy without feeling like an imposter to the forefront because I've lived a lot now. I've been through some real life things and I can actually articulate it and make sense of it without
And you're
any need to
believable
sort of
now. You're
fight.
not a 20-year-old where they
Yeah,
can't believe you. You're like, okay,
that's
yeah.
it. That's it. I've
Yeah.
caught up with myself
That's it.
age wise.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
where are you going to find the time to do this?
So this is the whole thing. Again, talking to my clients are like my, you know, they're my everything. And I said to them,
Mm-hmm.
look, the brand will be open Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I'm not going to respond to emails on Thursday. You'll have to
Mm-hmm.
wait until Monday. And they're like, Claire, just as long if this is the sustainable way of doing it, please just don't leave us again. I'm like, that's
Oh,
it.
that's awesome.
If you can rock with me on a Monday to Wednesday, I'm with
Yep.
you. And I shut my laptop at 3 o'clock because my children have after school club or church or something, you know, Sunday school and this and that. So now that I can be honest like that and have those interpersonal relationships and my clients respect the fact that I'm a mom and I've got a
Right.
home life that I need to adhere to, that well-being has to come from me. You know, ladies,
Yeah.
I
You have
was
to
working
keep your
12 hours
boundaries.
a day before. I have to have boundaries. You know, I would do
Yeah.
12 facials when I was in my 20s and my arms would be breaking off and then I'll be bottling, labeling, sending the product out. That's the
Yeah.
fastest way to like be bedridden for like two
Yes.
years or something. You know what I
I hope
mean? It's
somebody. I
like,
hope somebody's
how can I
listening
be
to that.
selling health and be living so unhealthily, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
right.
So I know I'm just going to bring this up once because I want to carry on with the other part of the conversation. But you took a
Sure.
stand on creating cream to lighten black skin. You were asked
Hmm.
many times to do that. Why did you take
Yeah.
that stand?
It's just not part of my calling. You know, I
Okay.
cannot be part of a industry. I would have been a billionaire by now.
Right.
Um, However, for me to encourage acidic poison for money. You see, the thing is, that's another thing about me. I'm not financially driven. I'm not motivated by finance. It's a part of living and everyday life, but I'm very
Sure.
purpose driven. So the purpose was about alkaline skincare and about healing.
Hmm.
Acid is the antithesis of that, and therefore it went against my personal values, my brand values. So I couldn't stand by that. I couldn't.
I love that. Yeah. And I think it's really good to know that you didn't want to poison anybody. That makes a lot of
Yeah, I mean, you
sense.
have to have integrity.
You do.
And as a black woman and as a mother and as a woman, come on, how can I
Own
be
yourself
encouraging my
anyway,
sisters to
right?
do colorism, right? It's
Yeah.
like, why? I've been told I'm light enough to not be, you know, I was told myself that, oh, Claire, you're not even dark enough to write and direct No Shade. You know, what do you know about
What?
colorism? I'm like, excuse me? And this
Wow.
is me being told this by a woman live on BBC Radio. You can watch it on YouTube, who is, you know, and it doesn't matter, but she's married to a white man, which is fine. That's her, that's love is love. Don't care about
Sure.
that. But she actively bleaches her skin
Wow.
and was telling me that I'm too light to have
To
a
tell that
dog in this
story.
fight. Yeah, yeah. And I was like, wow, we've got a lot of work to do.
We
Healing
do have a
wise,
lot
this
of
is
work to do. And, you know, I mean, it's so interesting that you say that, because in media, like, we look at G Woman media as coming together to change that narrative, like the narrative for women, the way that they
I
think
love
about
it.
themselves, the way that the world thinks about them, the idea that, you know, if you're black, then you should be more white. Or if you're white, you should be more black. I mean, everybody wants what they don't have, but
Mm.
oh my gosh, it's
Yeah, but at
crazy.
the center of all of
Own
that, Frankie,
yourself. Yeah.
is fear and is
Hmm.
low vibration and is distraction from purpose. If
Yes.
you're constantly worried about, oh, my hair isn't straight enough or my skin's too dark, you don't have time for self-love because you're already in a fear vibration. You're already in a low vibration. So you're not going to be executing in certain areas of your life. You can fake it, but really and truly, you can lie to everybody else, but you know in your heart of hearts you're not happy. You
Right.
can't have that rhetoric running in your head and at the same time be producing at a very high level in certain areas of your life. And for me, like you say, it's that holistic. I don't have enough space in my life. You can hear how busy I am. I
Yes.
don't have time to
I'm
pretend
out of breath.
anywhere. I
How
don't
busy
pretend at
you
home.
are.
I don't pretend in my business. I don't pretend in my relationships. I am who I am, and I don't play games. I
you
am what I am. This is it.
you have really won and been recognized for so much, though. And you know, our former guest, Pauline, who was in her 70s, she said she had a 20-year plan. You have an 80-year plan.
I
What
do.
more can you do? Like, what's going to fill your soul beyond this new legacy of the holistic cream? I don't think that's going to last. That, like, it'll last, but it's not going to fulfill you, I don't think,
No,
for
no,
the
no,
next
no,
80
no.
years. So what do you have a mind map? Like, what's on it? Like, what's next and next and next?
Oh wow.
What's the big
Well,
dreams?
um, big dreams, like being, you know, a global health minister for
Oh,
like the whole of Africa and transforming the way we look at health, the way we, you know, from childbirth all the way to, you know, elderly care, hospitals, schools, education.
wow. You got a big one.
Um, yeah, you know, I've been saying this since I was a teenager that I wanted to be a health minister of some sort. And so I feel like as I'm coming with age, you know, maybe in my 50s, that will be the next mountain for me to climb.
I love
And
that.
and being an investor, you know, there's so many phenomenal women out there that could do with my mentorship, my help. When I feel I've got, you know, enough resources to give back financially, and we already do with very little in the pot at times, but it's like when I can be almost like an angel or a VC capital, you know, to give people the start that I so desperately needed when I started Freeman, you know, and starting Buff Studios. It's like, yeah, that would give me so much joy.
Excellent.
Just those
Well,
two
we can
things
certainly
alone.
talk
Yeah.
about that later. We're going to go to a commercial break. I thank you so much for those thoughtful answers, and we'll be right back.
Okay, sisters, we really just have like 11 minutes left, so maybe we're just gonna jump quickly to the G Spotlight segment and we'll take that break afterwards. Swapna, you there?
Thank you, Alex. Dr. Clare, so much for all the amazing work you're doing with health and healing. I'm going to ask you something from the other avatar that you have in the G Spotlight moment. What, Dr. Clare, is a performance that you will not forget, please?
Wow. So a performance in film and TV,
Yay.
something that I've directed or something that I've seen.
No, no, no. Something that you've worked on as a director, please. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. So, hmm. I was working on, hmm. So I was working on Coronation Street, and
Right.
actually, it wasn't the easiest gig.
Mhm.
You know, Manchester, the North, very notoriously white, very, you know, male dominated studio.
Right.
And I had quite a female storyline, as in like the suffragettes, women campaigning an anti-rape campaign.
Right.
And you know, the guys on set were giving me a hard time. They were setting up traps for me to fall into and doing a lot of rubbish. Anyway, me and the two female leads, it was a female cop and a young girl that had been, you know, violated. And but as the actors, you know, I sort of came together with them. And as I said, ladies, this storyline is so important. I know there's some foolishness going on in the background, but can we just band together? Can you give me your heart and soul on every take?
Mhm.
And I really directed it like my vision was about, I want this to feel like an episode of Law and Order. I want it
Right.
to feel like, you know, when Mariska, she's such an incredible actress, and she digs into that person's chest and gets the gold out of her, you know, the victim
Mm.
in the scene. So I wanted
Right.
that sort of level of intensity. And we did it, and the men on set were absolutely silent. And it was almost like when I came off set, they kind of took their hat off to me, like, all right, respect. Do you know what I mean? And it felt to me like
Fantastic.
I'd broken a yoke with them. Yeah. Because I think before then, they were just like, oh, who's this little black girl coming up from North
Nah.
London? And, you know, and there was that disrespect. But I think when they saw me going like a tennis match, no, and now you stand up and now you sit down and, okay, you slam the table, you know, give it to her, tell her again, like, let's go. And I just forgot that they were there. They, oh, sorry, this is everything to me, and I'm not playing around. And actually, if I never see you fools again, at least I can take this on my show reel and send this to America, because Law and Order is the show of a lifetime. Like, if I could direct one episode of Law and Order, I would die happily as a director. You know what I mean?
Well
It's
done.
one of the
Well
best shows in the
done.
world. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Dr. Clare. Well done. Thank you. Over to you, Clara.
Amazing. So, I know we have 7 minutes to go. Are we taking the drop mic, or are we going into the drop mic comments?
No, so we're just gonna take a quick musical break. I thought, okay, we'll take that quick musical break and we'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Brilliant.
You haven't seen the last of me. Don't write me out. I've fallen, but I'm rising again. You haven't seen the best of me. Don't count me out. I'm crawling, but one day I will run. You haven't seen the last of me. You haven't seen the best of me. I'm feeling like a pilgrim, carrying a heavy load. Oh, my back is breaking, and my feet are aching. I'm walking on a lonely road. I've been held back in the cold, but no, I won't break.
Okay, that was Best of Me from Ashioye. So, Mayuri, do you have are there any questions, anything, just before we take our drop mic moments?
Yes, Alex, thank you. I know we only have 5 minutes left, but we do have a listener who has a quick question for Dr. Clare. They just want to know, what would you say is your greatest evolution? And if you could give your 20-year-old self any advice, what would you say to her, Dr. Clare?
Sure, I'll make it succinct. So, my greatest evolution was realizing that um, peace is priceless, and that rest is a silent revolution. I always thought that sleep was for losers, and you should sleep when you're dead. And that was a terrible rhetoric that was given to me by an actor friend. And I ridded myself of that a couple of years ago when I started writing Clarity. So I would say to my younger self, sleep as often as you can, take naps, whatever, because actually in those still moments, you know, come profound ideas. And you deserve rest, because even if you're not physically doing work, you're always mentally working. So rest as
Mm.
often as you can.
That is such great advice. I think we all can take that on. Thank you, Dr. Clare. Over to you, Alex.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Now, ladies, we don't have time and it's just 4 minutes before we wrap this up. So we're going to take a mic drop moment. So let's go with you, Frankie. What was your mic drop moment from our beautiful conversation with Dr. Clare? Okay. Swap now your mic drop moments from our conversation with Dr. Clare.
Dr. Clare, you saying God is the CEO of your life. That was my mic drop moment. Thank you very much.
Okay, amazing, amazing. Clara, your mic drop moment?
My mic drop moment was in Dr. Clare talking about the underbelly of resilience. I truly believe that resilience will hide its bruises, but in that underbelly, we find truth. And when we face that truth, our healing begins.
Okay, Frankie, your mic drop moment. Are you there, Frankie?
Sorry, I am here. I didn't realize I was on mute. My mic drop moment is focus. Focus. It's changing. We're changing at light speed, and we have to focus. Keep our focus. That was the biggest one, really, if you want to be successful.
Amazing. Okay, Mayuri, your mic drop moment.
My mic drop moment, Dr. Clare, when you spoke about skin whitening and how you stood up against it, I have to tell you here, colorism is the same in Asian communities. It's just as bad, if not worse, and it's promoted everywhere. And I can remember when I started my career, I was actually roles were not given to me because I was considered too dark. And I went on a whole journey of trying to lighten my skin and do all of those terrible, terrible things until I realized I can't do this anymore because, like you said, it distracted you from your purpose. You actually can't live a life of what you need to do when you're so focused on the outer. So thank you for that. That just cemented it for me. That was my mic drop moment.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, sis. Any final words from you, Claire? I know we only have 2 minutes before we wrap this up.
No, and I really appreciate you all. I just want to say this platform, G Woman Radio, Alex, thank you for being so proactive and generous. Mayuri, Swapna, Frankie, Clara, you ladies are trailblazers and genuinely big sisters to us all. And I think this collective is really showing us globally what can be achieved when women put their heads and their hearts together. So thank you for this incredible honor of being on your show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you for being such an amazing guest. We're so excited that you were able to join us. So to our listeners, thank you for listening to our show. Now, don't forget that you can follow us online at G Women Media and tag us in your thoughts with hashtag GSpot Radio. And if there's anything that resonated with our guest, the conversation with our guest, Dr. Clare Anyiam-Osigwe, don't forget to send us a message or leave a comment. Now, you can catch the replay wherever you get your podcasts. So until next time, stay genius. Stay
game changing.
Stay game change, ladies.
You're tuned into G Woman Radio for the global woman, gifted, genius, game changer.